Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. At long last, the Young and the Restless is about to blow up with a DNA shocker that will shake Genoa City to its core, and this time, it's Victor Newman who's holding the bomb. What begins as a quiet suspicion soon spirals into a full-scale identity scandal when Victor uncovers Audra Charles's true family, and the truth is nothing like what anyone expected. For months, Audra has managed to slither her way into Newman Enterprises, Tucker McCall's inner circle, and even Kyle Abbott's bed, but her latest deception is one that will leave Victor raging. "You lied to all of us." From fake names to falsified histories, Audra's web of lies unravels completely when Victor gets his hands on a piece of DNA evidence that doesn't just change her future, it destroys her past. It all starts when Victor's instincts kick in, as they always do. He never fully trusted Audra, not from the moment she charmed her way into the Newman business orbit. Sure, she was clever, ruthless, and seductive, traits Victor often admires, but something about her background didn't quite add up. Her university transcripts were too polished, her story about her upbringing too vague, and her family conveniently untraceable. But Victor Newman doesn't let unanswered questions lie. He instructs his private investigator to dig deep, deeper than Audra ever expected anyone to go, and what he finds is explosive. A DNA sample taken from an abandoned glass in Victor's office becomes the key that unlocks a secret buried for decades. When the test results return, Victor's face turns to stone as he reads the shocking words, "Match found." The DNA match ties Audra Charles to someone Victor once knew, someone from the Newman family's tangled past. The discovery that Audra's biological roots connect to an old Newman adversary leaves Victor's mind spinning. Could she have been planted as part of a revenge plot? Could her entire presence in Genoa City have been orchestrated? The results reveal that Audra's last name isn't Charles at all, and that she was born under a completely different identity, one linked to a family whose name Victor vowed never to utter again. The implications send shockwaves through the Newman dynasty. In a tense, cinematic moment at Newman Enterprises, Victor calls Audra into his office, his voice low but deadly calm. Nikki senses the storm brewing but stays silent, watching from the sidelines as Victor sits behind his massive desk, a man ready to deliver judgment. "Sit down," he tells her, his tone like thunder rolling over the horizon. Audra flashes her usual confident smile, crossing her legs and pretending she's unfazed. But her heart races when Victor slides a manila folder across the desk. "You've been lying from day one," he growls. Audra tries to act confused, but Victor cuts her off sharply. "Don't play games with me, Miss Charles, or should I say, Miss Audra Ruiz?" The name hits like a bullet. Audra freezes. The facade cracks. For a split second, the cool, calculating woman everyone thought they knew disappears, replaced by raw panic. "Where did you get that name?" she demands, her voice trembling despite her attempt to sound composed. Victor rises from his chair, towering over her, eyes blazing with fury. "The DNA doesn't lie," he snaps. "I know exactly who your real family is. You've been living a lie, and you've used that lie to manipulate my family and my company. That ends today." Victor's anger isn't just professional, it's personal. He feels violated, betrayed, played. The great Victor Newman, who built an empire by reading people like open books, was deceived by someone he thought he could control. Nikki walks in just as Victor's voice echoes through the office, demanding answers. "Victor, what's going on?" she asks cautiously, glancing between him and Audra. Without hesitation, Victor opens the folder and slams the DNA report on the desk. "That's what's going on," he roars. "This woman, this schemer, isn't who she says she is." Audra's carefully built world begins to crumble. She stammers, trying to explain that she changed her name for personal reasons, that she wanted to leave her past behind, that her family was toxic. But Victor won't hear it. "You lied to me," he growls, his voice trembling with suppressed rage. "You lied to all of us. You came into my family, into my company, with deceit as your foundation. I trusted you with my son's business, and you repaid me with this? The atmosphere is electric with tension as Victor lays out the truth. Audra is the secret daughter of one of Victor's most dangerous past rivals, a man who once tried to destroy Newman Enterprises from the inside. The DNA results prove it beyond doubt. For decades, Victor believed that rival's family had vanished from Genoa City's orbit, but now, standing in front of him, is the proof that the feud never really ended. Audra's presence was the continuation of a war Victor thought he had won long ago. So this was your plan all along? Victor spits. Get close to my family, my company, and take what's mine. Just like your father tried to do? Audra's eyes well with tears as she protests that she didn't know. She claims she discovered her parentage only recently, that her connection to the Newman past was a coincidence. But Victor doesn't buy it. You expect me to believe that, he asks, coldly. That you accidentally stumbled into Newman territory, working with my enemies, seducing Kyle Abbott, manipulating Tucker McCall, and now trying to gain control of my assets? Every accusation slices deeper, leaving Audra cornered. The confrontation escalates when Adam walks in, curious about the shouting. Victor doesn't hesitate to share the discovery, shocking even his own son. She's been lying about everything, Adam, Victor declares. Even her bloodline. Adam, usually quick to smirk, looks genuinely surprised. So what's the truth, he asks. Victor glares at Audra before saying it aloud, the name that changes everything. Her real father, Victor says, was part of the Ruiz cartel in Mexico, the same man responsible for trying to take down Newman Enterprises in the 90s. Adam's jaw drops, while Audra's silence says it all. The news spreads through Genoa City like wildfire. Tucker feels betrayed, realizing the woman he thought he could manipulate had been manipulating him all along. Kyle, meanwhile, is left reeling. He'd opened his heart and his bed to Audra, believing she was independent, ambitious, and perhaps misunderstood. Now he sees her as a master liar. Nikki, furious that another schemer has invaded their circle, warns Victor that this could tarnish Newman's reputation if it goes public. But Victor is already plotting his next move. He won't just expose Audra, he'll destroy the legacy she tried to rewrite. Alone in her suite that night, Audra stares into the mirror, her reflection fractured and unrecognizable. The confident woman who once ran circles around corporate titans now looks like a cornered fugitive. Flashbacks flood her mind, changing her name, burying her family history, promising herself she'd never let anyone discover the truth. But now it's all unraveling, thanks to Victor's relentless pursuit of control. She whispers to herself, he knows everything. The camera lingers on her tear-streaked face as she picks up her phone, calling someone and saying in a broken voice, they found out who I am. We have to move now, before Victor destroys me. The next day, Victor summons his children to Newman Tower for a family meeting. Nick, Victoria, and Adam gather around the conference table, curious and cautious. Victor doesn't waste time. Audra Charles, he says flatly, is not who she says she is. He lays out the entire revelation, the DNA evidence, the fake identity, the buried past. Nick shakes his head, muttering, unbelievable. Victoria, who once saw potential in Audra as an executive, looks betrayed. She was ambitious, yes, but this? This is sociopathic, she says coldly. Adam, ever the opportunist, leans back with a smirk. So what now, Dad? You going to hand her over to the authorities? Or use her secret to your advantage? Victor fixes him with a glare that wipes the smile right off his face. This isn't about leverage, Adam. This is about trust and betrayal. She infiltrated my family's world under false pretenses. That won't go unpunished. Meanwhile, Audra isn't done fighting. She shows up at the Newman ranch, uninvited, desperate for one last chance to explain herself. Victor, please, she pleads as she bursts into his study. You have to let me explain. I didn't know about my father until recently. I swear I never meant to deceive you. Victor stares her down, his expression unreadable. The DNA doesn't lie, he says coldly. And neither do my instincts. You came here with a purpose, and it wasn't to be loyal to Newman Enterprises. Audra insists she's changed, that she left her father's world behind long ago. She admits she changed her name to escape the shadow of that family, to make something of herself on her own terms. But Victor remains unmoved. You can change your name, Ms. Charles, he says, voice low and deadly, but you can't change your blood. The final moments of the episode are pure YNR fireworks. Audra, defeated and in tears, turns to leave, but Victor delivers one last blow. You're finished here, he declares. You'll never work for Newman, for Jabot, or for Tucker McCall again. I'll make sure everyone in this town knows the truth. You wanted power? Well, now you'll see what real power looks like, when it's used against you. As Audra walks out of the Newman ranch for what might be the last time, the camera pans to Victor standing by the fireplace, holding the DNA report in his hand. His jaw tightens, eyes burning with fury and betrayal. Nikki quietly approaches, resting a hand on his shoulder. You did the right thing, darling, she says softly. Victor exhales, never taking his eyes off the flames. No, he replies darkly, I just did what I always do, protect this family from another liar. But the story is far from over. Rumors swirl that the DNA discovery might have one more twist, that Victor's connection to Audra could be even closer than he realizes. Was the test tampered with? Could Audra actually share blood with someone inside the Newman family itself? As The Young and the Restless continues, the fallout from this DNA bombshell promises to ignite rivalries, destroy alliances, and change everything we thought we knew about Audra Charles. Victor Newman has faced powerful enemies before, corporate sharks, ruthless rivals, and even his own children when ambition clouded their loyalty, but nothing could have prepared him for the personal betrayal that came with Audra Charles's DNA secret. The walls of Newman Enterprises, once a fortress of legacy and power, now feel like a house of ghosts. The mighty patriarch, who spent decades building an empire on control and foresight, now finds himself reeling from a truth that was hiding in plain sight, that the woman he once thought of as a rising star within his circle was not Audra Charles at all, but someone with blood ties that reawaken one of the darkest chapters of his past. In the days following the DNA revelation, Genoa City feels the ripple effect. Rumors travel faster than wildfire in this town, and Victor's explosive confrontation with Audra is the talk of the elite. Newman employees whisper nervously in corridors, unsure how close the scandal might cut to their own careers. For a company obsessed with reputation, a bloodline scandal of this magnitude could destroy years of strategic alliances. Victor knows that once the story breaks publicly, the vultures, like Billy Abbott, Jack Abbott, and even Tucker McCall, will circle, hungry for weakness. At home, the Newman ranch is a battlefield of emotions. Nikki Newman, poised as ever but shaken inside, tries to hold her husband steady as he obsesses over every detail of the DNA report. It's not just about business, Nikki, Victor insists one night as they sit by the fire. This woman invaded our lives. She earned our trust under false pretenses, all while carrying the blood of a man who tried to destroy me. Nikki watches him pace, glass of scotch in hand, as his voice rises. I will not let that kind of deceit go unpunished. But even Nikki, ever the voice of reason, sees something deeper in Victor's fury. It's not just anger, it's hurt. For years, Victor prided himself on seeing through manipulation. Audra, with her polished charm and seductive ambition, made him believe she could be molded into a loyal Newman ally, perhaps even a successor in the business world. Now that illusion has shattered. You can't rewrite the past, darling, Nikki says softly, reaching for his hand. You can only decide how far you'll go to make her pay for it. Meanwhile, Audra has gone underground. Her phone buzzes endlessly with calls from Tucker McCall and Nate Hastings, both wanting answers. Tucker, furious that his partner in schemes has been lying even to him, leaves a blistering voicemail. You should have told me who you really were, he says, his tone sharp as glass. You think you can outmaneuver Victor Newman? Good luck, sweetheart. You've just signed your own death warrant, in business and in life. Audra knows Tucker's threat isn't empty. He's not above leaking the DNA story himself if it means saving his own skin. Sitting alone in a dimly lit suite at the Grand Phoenix, she scrolls through old photos of her mother, the woman who raised her alone, far from the shadows of her biological father's empire. She remembers being told that her father was dangerous, that his name was never to be spoken aloud. But when she learned the truth years later, she swore never to let it define her. She became Audra Charles, the driven, fearless woman who would conquer everything she touched. But Victor's discovery has stripped that armor away. Now, she's once again the frightened girl who grew up hiding from her own name. As she stares into the mirror, her eyes flash with determination. "I'm not going down without a fight," she whispers. Over at Newman Enterprises, Victor begins assembling his war room. He calls in Michael Baldwin to discuss legal options. "I want every contract she signed reviewed," Victor orders. "Every deal, every clause. If there's a single breach due to her falsified identity, I want her cut off immediately." Michael raises an eyebrow. "You're talking about total blacklisting, Victor. That could ruin her professionally, for life." Victor doesn't hesitate. "Good. Let that be her punishment for crossing me." But as ruthless as Victor is, his children aren't as united on how to handle the situation. Nick thinks Victor's vendetta has gone too far. "Dad, she made a mistake," Nick argues during a tense family meeting. "You've destroyed people for less, but maybe she deserves a chance to explain. If her past scared her, maybe that's why she changed her name." Victor glares at him across the table. "You're defending her?" he snaps. "After she lied to all of us?" Nick fires back, "I'm not defending her. I'm saying you're acting like she's a criminal when she might just be human." Victoria, however, sides with Victor. "Nick, don't be naive," she interjects coldly. "Audra's not some scared woman trying to start over. She's been manipulating everyone she's come into contact with since she set foot in Genoa City. Kyle, Tucker, Nate, even me. And if Dad hadn't found that DNA report, who knows what she'd be plotting next." Adam smirks in the corner, sipping his coffee. "For once, I agree with Victoria," he says. "The only thing Audra's loyal to is herself." As the family debates, Victor's phone buzzes with an alert. Audra has just been seen entering Tucker McCall's penthouse. Without hesitation, Victor stands up and says, "Meeting's over." Nikki pleads for him to let it go, but it's no use. When Victor smells blood, he doesn't stop until he's claimed victory. At Tucker's penthouse, the confrontation is electric. Tucker, irritated and wary, greets Victor at the door with his usual smug grin. "What brings the great Victor Newman to my humble abode?" he quips. "Come to gloat? Or to finish burying the woman you exposed?" Victor brushes past him without answering and finds Audra inside, her expression a mix of defiance and dread. "Still running with snakes, I see," Victor says, glancing at Tucker. "Fitting." Audra squares her shoulders. "You've made your point, Victor. Everyone knows who I am now. You've destroyed my career, my reputation. What more do you want?" Victor's voice drops to a growl. "I want you gone. Out of my company, out of this town. You've made a fool out of the wrong man." Tucker steps between them, trying to diffuse the tension, but Victor cuts him off. "Stay out of this, McCall. You've been nothing but a parasite leeching off other people's mistakes." But her mistake, he glares at Audra, was thinking she could outsmart me. Audra's calm breaks, and her voice rises with fury. "You don't own me. You think you're some kind of god in this town, deciding who gets to succeed and who doesn't? I worked for everything I have, I didn't inherit it. You want to talk about lies? Look around you, Victor. Your own family's built on them.